What's up, guys, and welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, then welcome to our little corner of the internet. Today we are watching a video titled 5 Idioms I Only Picked Up After Moving to America. I wonder what I'm gonna pick up after moving to America. I'm pretty sure that my accent might change, and I'll probably over this year, and because I'm making so many videos and watching so much content in English, I think my English is gonna get better. So maybe I'll pick up some new idioms. But let's see what this video is about.
A wrench in the works is when something is going really swimmingly, like for example one of Lawrence's videos, and then the main audio cuts out and nobody knows what to do, not even my technicians, because I don't have any. Hello, this video is sponsored by the Great Courses Plus. I'm Lawrence and I'm on a quest to uncover all of the memos that Britain and America lost in the pond, and one of those memos pertains to idioms. American idioms. There are so many of them that Green Day almost wrote an entire album about them. But what is an idiom? An idiom is a phrase or expression that typically presents a non-literal meaning. So for example, don't count your chickens before they hatch, because
It's like take it with a grain of salt, an idiom as well.
Non-literal meaning. So for example, don't count your chickens before they hatch, because there might be twins. This isn't us telling farmers how to do their jobs. We're saying don't get ahead of yourself without saying don't get ahead of yourself.
Or don't put all your basket. Guys, I should be a motivational speaker. Don't put all your baskets in the same eggs, guys. Very important.
The US has given the world a lot of idioms, and before Uncle Toby comes at me in all caps, many American idioms like on the bandwagon or bet your bottom dollar have indeed made their way to Britain. On the other hand, some have only entered my vocab after 12 years living in the United States, and that's what happens when you live in another country, even when you're a YouTube sensation. Dialectal properties enter your brain through what seems like osmosis until you can no longer remember a time that you didn't use them. This is true of idioms. The idea for this video came from Carrie, not the book by Stephen King, but one of my patrons during this week's secret live stream. And so with that in mind, here are 5 idioms I now use without even thinking about it.
Talking about live streams, guys, I have a little live update. I am looking to move, and we're going to hopefully soon have a little actual studio that's not going to be a bedroom, but I'm going to be able to put souvenirs and things in the background, and I'm going to be more able to live stream and everything. I am so excited, guys. I cannot stress this enough. But I'm just saying that I'm not promising anything, but maybe, hopefully, if everything goes well. And yeah, you have my Twitch link in the description if someone wants to go follow. I haven't put a schedule or anything since I don't know yet, but at some point I just want to know that I just want to hang out with you guys, maybe bring you guys with me while I do breakfast or eat or things like that, so we can hang out more. But yeah, so this is what I'm planning for this year, hopefully. Okay, let's continue.
Thanks to Americans. One thing my linguistic brain really noticed after moving to America is that Americans really love idioms about money, and that makes sense because capitalism. So you've got bottom dollar, or I feel like $1 million, or Lawrence, can I borrow $127? That wasn't an idiom, that was just a request from Randy Quaid. But the one that I've picked up and that I use all the time, probably because I'm really opinionated, is dime a dozen. Dime a dozen, what does that mean? Are we going shopping for eggs? No, it just means that something is so common as to be worthless. For example, I once noted that there were an inordinate number of YouTube channels hosted by men with beards, and all I could think was, you all look the same, and where are those men now? We're a dime a dozen. There, I said it, right? We are the eggs of YouTube, and inside those eggs are knowledge but also lots of yolk. That, please don't read too much into that. And if you crack us hard enough, that knowledge will pour out as it's doing in the form of a YouTube video. I've no idea what I'm talking about, but I do know this much. The term dime a dozen does come from the sale of eggs. It was a much simpler...
Dime a dozen. I don't get it. I don't get it. I've never heard that before, and I cannot think of one scenario where I would say dime a dozen.
A time in the 19th century when eggs just cost a dime. And so to represent, I suppose, the widespread prevalence of eggs, this idiom fell into use in the 1930s. I can't say for sure whether or not it did spread to England and I just happened to not encounter it. My feeling is it probably did not, just because we don't have dime as part of our currency. Then again, we don't have dollar, but we do have bottom dollar, but we're obsessed with bottoms, so it could be something to do with that. Something else I've learned is that American idioms, as well as containing language pertaining to money, often contain language pertaining to sport, and sometimes, in rare instances, they have both. One such instance is the phrase, all bets are off. So what do I mean when I say that all bets are off? Why have I come to say it? Well, it basically means that things have become so unpredictable that at this point, anything could happen. For example, you, the viewer, probably used to think, Lawrence Brown, he's a human being, only in this video I learned he's a metaphorical egg. And wait a minute, while that does sound odd, it does lend credence to the idea that he is America's finest British import. And doing a quick bit of reading into the history of this phrase, it dates back to horse racing bets. In other words, the bookmaker is not taking any more bets at this time, and all existing bets placed on the competition are now null and void. And I think it's fair to say that all bets are off as to where this video goes from here, because, admittedly, most of my ideas come from this.
I've never heard on any of these. All bets are off. I've heard before, I think, but I don't think I still understand where, like, in what context I could use that.
Most of my ideas come from this.
Out of left field. Okay, let me try and think. Out of left field. Is that, I think this might mean like out of order, or, you know, like it's just not correct, out of left field. Maybe, I don't know.
There are just some phrases you're gonna pick up while working in an office in corporate America, or while manning the hot dog stand at Wrigley Field. They only kept me on for 2 weeks. And while I've worked hard to let go of workplace jargon since leaving the corporate arena, or Captain Joe's, there are some phrases that still slip through, and one of those is out of left field. Now, out of left field can be used outside of the workplace, and commonly is. It just happens to be a phrase that I picked up there. And I can't decide if it's because managers routinely use that phrase about my contribution to the company, or if... No, it's because they routinely use that phrase about my contributions to the company. What does it mean? Well, it means an idea, concept, or comment that just sort of came out of nowhere. Good example, I was watching one of Lawrence's videos.
Ah, okay, that makes sense.
And then just out of left field, he bombarded me with Randy Quaid references. This is normal in my house. I mean, you must spend about 5 minutes a day discussing the partial filmography of Randy Quaid, otherwise you haven't lived. Can I...
This one I do understand, but I could just never imagine myself being like, you know what, yesterday I was talking to this person and they said something so out of left field, that blah, blah. Do you guys use these?
Has Randy Quaid ever been in a baseball film? Because I kind of want to tie this back at the end. Yeah. Okay, what about Dennis Quaid? 2002's The Rookie. I've never heard of it, but we'll go with that. But this isn't all out of left field, because Dennis Quaid, who I've been referencing this entire time, was in 2002's The Rookie, a film about baseball. And by an extraordinary coincidence, the term out of left field is thought to have originated in baseball. I mean, its origins have never actually been confirmed, but come on, it makes more sense than the actual rules of baseball. A person out in left field throws the ball, thus catching the runner by surprise and knocking him out. Baseball, of course, America's pastime. I bet it wouldn't be, though, if they replaced the bat with one of these. And that's because it would be stupid. So this is where things get a little...
10-foot pole, is that actually a saying? I remember hearing on like TikTok a song that went like, My man wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. My man with a 10-foot pole. My man wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. But I didn't know it's a saying. I have no idea what that could mean.
Convoluted. When I lived in Britain, I would never have said, I'm not touching it with a 10.
Oh, so it means that, like, oh, okay. So you use that for that? I wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole. I like that. I kind of like that. I mean, should I start using that? Yeah, I wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole. Okay, we're learning. Because I speak a lot of Spanish, I would say, like, I wouldn't touch that with a stick, or I would say, like, I wouldn't want to see that even in a painting. It sounds more normal in Spanish than it does in English, but
Foot pole, because what's a 10-foot pole? But I would have used, and did use on many an occasion, a variation on this phrase. That variation was, I wouldn't touch that with a barge pole. What is a barge pole? I guess it's a pole for pushing barges along. And barges are a big thing in Britain, so it makes sense. But I think if you started using that term here, people might look at you like you're not real, like you're a metaphorical egg. I'm going to stop with that now. And I suppose to ward off any awkwardness or follow-up questions, I adapted my language to say 10-foot pole. But I still don't know what one of those is. Clearly it's a pole that's 10 feet, but what's it used for? Well, I looked into the memory banks of Earth and found this. Many believe this expression originates from a burial practice in New Orleans. The Spanish-developed burial system of present day proceeds by first placing the casket of the patron in an above-ground tomb. Exactly 1 year and 1 day after burial, the tomb is opened and the casket removed. The body is next wrapped in a sheet and shoved to the bottom of the tomb using a 10-foot pole. I wouldn't touch that, thus making the figurative literal. Thankfully, a 10-foot pole can't come between me and my nerdy love of language. At this point, I'm just in too deep. Whether you've been following my channel for a few weeks or a few centuries, you've probably detected my unwavering interest in the United States. And this has always extended to language. In fact, during my English language degree, while learning about syntax, lexicology, and the mouth structure of parrots, I always really wanted to do a module on American English, how it came to be, why it differed from my own variety, and why Pittsburgh did its own thing. Now, thanks to the Great Courses Plus, we can all do that, and I'm thrilled, to the point of actually smiling, to begin my second lecture on Professor Natalie Schilling's English in America, A Linguistic History. The Great Courses Plus is a subscription on-demand video learning service with brilliant lectures and courses from Ivy League professors and experts from places like National Geographic and the Smithsonian. Through your subscription, you'll get access to over 11,000 video lectures covering subjects that interest you. Visit thegreatcoursesplus.com/lostinthepond right now to begin your free trial. The link is in my description below. In the meantime, it's time to put down our 10-foot poles and pick up one of these. Is that really the biggest one you could find?
wrench in the works. Is that like it's in progress, or?
After moving into a new apartment this year, this little thing proved handy, and I do mean little. Now, ordinarily, of course, it's used for tightening or loosening bolts, but it's also used in an idiom. And that idiom is to throw a wrench in the works. What would give Lawrence, a man filled with optimism and a can-do attitude, cause to use it? Well, firstly, this was a phrase that I used back in Britain. What? Why is it in this video then, you plonker? Because it was this phrase, only substituting the word wrench for what we call this, a spanner. And so, as with 10-foot pole, I found myself going the American way so as to avoid throwing a wrench in the works. A wrench in the works is when something is going really swimmingly, like, for example, one of Lawrence's videos, and then the main audio cuts out and nobody knows what to do, not even my technicians, because I don't have any. And then the video goes from being a 10 out of 10 to a 9.5, and we can't have that. That's it for this episode. Thank you for watching today, and let me know in the comments below some of your favourite idioms and whether or not you think they made it to Britain. My name is Lawrence Brown. You can follow me on Twitter at LostInThePondUS, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel so that my videos don't get lost in the pond. I'd like to give a spanner-sized shout out, although one much bigger than this, to my patrons who make these videos possible. If you would like to become a patron of Lost in the Pond, you can. Goodbye.
Goodbye. That was interesting. I feel like I don't know many idioms in English. Actually, now that I think of it, I don't really use them. In Spanish, I feel like I'm way funnier than in English because I use a lot of idioms. And in Finnish, I don't think I use as many neither. It's interesting. It's interesting. Thank you guys for joining me for this video. I really hope you liked it. Please leave your thoughts in the comments below. Leave your favorite idioms in the comments below and explain them to me so maybe I can start using some. And leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.